Hello everybody, this is P. Francis McNichol. I'm doing a reading now starting Below the Precipice, Chapter 7, Loathsome. I enjoyed reading it last time. It's been a while because of work hang-ups, and I was trying to do it after work. I want to say around the 11 and 12 noon time frame. And so having more free time with a longer set of days off, I'm able to start the reading. I hope people enjoy following the progression of Chapter 6, Khakis, Crackers, and Quacks. Where we left off at the end of Chapter 6 was Janine, someone the main character loves or likes and is infatuated with and grows to love because she's just really beautiful in his eyes and heart. She is involved in a car accident after a quick negative conversation with her boyfriend because she is pregnant and she's going to go it alone because he wants her to think about their future and going to college. That conflict right there is where it stands. And ends at basically the end of Chapter 6, and Chapter 7 is called Loathsome. It gets into more of the dreamscapes, and Teal basically goes to the hospital, absconding and leaving the ward as a child, basically, and he's looking for her in the hospital because he's really in love with her, having just met her, and it's love at first sight, so to speak. So let's begin. Earlier I tried to start the video and it said finish and finish and finish, and I got a great Wi-Fi service right here with my gateway terminal right behind me, and it slows down. I don't know why, and so now it is working and fully connected. Chapter 7, Loathsome. The whining wails reappeared when I crawled in between my ears and strained eyes. Blood rushed backwards to my pelvis, flushing aches I felt crunch with my hips and groin at every step. Squeaky sneaker smears grew louder again and eventually slowed as the alarms in the parlor beat them back aggressively. Bells rang. Impending doom came to the forefront of actuality. The fire engine arrived on time as expected after the distress call was dispatched. Piercing blowing horns echoed throughout the courtyard of granite and limestone. Windows displayed the dark outline of dreadful tenants, hitting and pushing the plexiglass windows outward. Crowds congregated and swayed outside the fence of dividing arms. The entrance was open as one door rocked back and forth against a garden chipping stone. The rolls of cumulus smoke topped the 13th floor and exited through the strainer of northern chutes, blackening their eyelids in soot and burning nylon floor. The latter company pulled in last, pushing the other crews to the opposite circle and exiting the parking lot. The thoroughfare ceased to move. Onlookers of the event stared, pointing up at the live contortions, and gasped. The studio audience applauded as the ladder elevated, containing 3 canvas-clad heroes. In droves, lower occupants spread out of the bottom like large cockroaches seeking darkness and safety from the cracking whips of heat and suffocating flames. The cage match continued for only a few minutes. A lady in her mid-30s fought the window and turned for the final act of attrition. She fell to the ground, holding on to the sill, and still technically in the battle royale. I threw a crowbar, crashing it through the balcony door. In the master bedroom, thick carcinogenic particles zoomed down her esophagus, entering the needy bronchial tubes, searing the bulbs of oxygenated blood, causing acute ruptures. She failed to furnish that same oxygen to her brain and passed out, numbed aloof of the encroaching golden stabs. The reach of the flames went up on the cabinets and began to liquefy its varnish just moments after the accosting jump from the fibrous carpet and throw rugs. Her hair took the brunt of the second wave of assault, burning it into fireflies with no plotted path or destination. Her scalp and hands burned necks, curling layers of epidermis and scrawny tissue. The retinas boiled in their own respective yolk, popping out of their pocketed joints. The heart rapidly beat and stopped as it began to bubble and reverse its course of flow. Muscle blistered and peeled, then grayed and crystallized. The door to apartment 1412 glowed with pride as the men rammed it with the 80-pound weight. Smoke seeped out from underneath the entrance like a new father's customary indulgence. It gave no ground and expanded slightly more in its heated bed of iron. The bucket raised towards the windows. The carpet of flame interior to the residence was too caustic to see, so I reappeared in the first kid's room across from the heater room. I looked a final time at the charring body as it crumpled, cracking and burning black. She had no family members residing in the bachelorette pad. I began to breathe in the noxious debris and shut off the valve myself. To stay any longer in the apartment, I built a bubble with me in its bow. Walking, I pushed forward throughout the rooms and lifted my legs, walking on air. I was approached by the clad men and whisked away to safety, being hurled out off the balcony and onto the aluminum ladder. With a good right grip, I held onto the welded rung, stopping my descent short. The populace oohed and applauded the trapeze artist, dangling with the might of the strong man. I waited for the search and recon of victims and losers to end, with little hope of seeing winners. As I hung and jostled through the night's airy breeze, the politician appeared on the rungs in front and below, climbing. His twisted mustache, eloquently tapered to its sides, swiveled and poked with a jelly tonic. He gathered his wits, smiling at me in the open, and salivated as he reached for my left hand. His eyes seedily shone of the burning embers to my rear. In the sullied left socket, one of Terrence's crystal eyes supplanted his own. He was hungry and angered at the lack of sloppy tripe. I was seething mad, trying to raise the limb, to no avail. Gravity was in charge. The madman yanked back and laughed, running his hand through his wavy head. I fell sinking. The signalman held the lantern and lowered his bearded brow to see the encroachers. 46 and aging with the yearly early corn, he expected the migrating deserters to pay for their delivery of human stock. But these came from the eastern part of the county. His turn at crossing the 3/5 person depended on the parcel of coin and whiskey traded in for his addicted wife and mate to use as she sickened worse by the day. He thought of her as a younger bride, once happy and alive with vigor and fertile seeds. He grimaced when he recalled the many miscarriages and crib deaths that plagued the western side of the river, where they once owned a shallow earthen shack. He couldn't wait much longer as the horses drew nearer. He formulated a speedy answer, worrying about his one and only offspring cleaning the outside trowel. The newest house he had built with his own hands stayed free from the passing war. Barely a spot on the landscape of property he had developed through grit and hampered trials. The colonel led it and approached first as his stomach ached with air foaming in small explosive spasms. The minions that followed scampered in roaming patterns along the terrain of rolling trenches and fortified logging parapets lining up in the spurs of lower Appalachia. They sought refuge heading west from the Potomac's barrage of cannon fire, lingering at the Fort Washington foothold and southern Columbia line. A good night's rest was all that they needed. They wanted food and the enjoyment of shelter to metabolize their strength. Colonel Sheffer and my remaining men, do you see a place for us to bed for the night till the morning? The gallant Southerner asked. He withdrew his suede hat and applied it to his moldy and stained breastbone. This is my lot. Plenty to see, you know. You're welcome as long as... How long after you are they on your trail, sir? The caretaker asked. His chew dribbled out of the corner of his lip. He lowered the lamp, dimming its brightness, and spat. Not long at all should we wait. We're much obliged if God and the South be willing. Where must we go? Colonel Sheffer queried, pulling hard on the haggard beast. Whoa, the subordinates pleaded as they caught up and circled their stout commander. Follow me yonder, about a hill's leap we go, before the valley at the peak falls. You stay until morning, as long as you wish, sir. People pass all the time to Washington. They take the run all the ways to Alexandria, all the time they do. Sir, the comfort of lessening worry is all that we care for. Maybe a quiet part of your back lot out of a stone's throw's reach, I gather. Your trees bear fruit, sir. Do, and yours too, I reckon, the hairy man exclaimed. He turned, and the platoon followed. The platoon, nearly squad level by then, followed their host quickly into the night of the Virginia backwoods. The hairy host spotted Appaloosa, galloped in fast spurts, while the master kneaded its patched, muscular belly. They followed the powder-flying run down the first ravine and bore towards a standing handful of trees on the private holding. The man's house stood upright, paired with a sagging hut beside it, 10 years older. The young mite held a wicker broom and turned as the equestrians passed in full stride. He held his breath and tensed up. Possum, you go mind your mother. She'll be waiting on you now. Now get, boy, before me whip your little ass, the father warned. The group continued beyond the light of the rear flickering lamp into the security of the darkened field. A small path was slightly lit by the fire of the peaking moon as they made their way to the wooden boundary. Mr. McAvoy, What? I see. Mr. McAvoy, wake up right this instant, the loose Latina shouted, gripping my neck. My heart skipped a beat and sputtered as the fiery bitch shook. I rose to the lady. Okay. You have no right to touch me like that. You walk right down that hall. Go, she plied. You never know where those hands have been. Jeez. You the warden or something? God, I stated hatefully. Adios, míos. Bambino es estupendo. Non gracious bambino estupendo. Mucho. Go, child, get, the lady yelled, continuing, you no belong here, young man. We take good care of you on the other side. Move, vamonos. Now, I didn't mind having any foxy chick's hands being placed on me, but I did dislike the total disregard for my native tongue. Maybe it was the slutty way she held herself. I really don't know. But as I walked to the far side, I got the impression things were headed in the wrong direction. I didn't even have the chance to talk with that woman I cared so much for. It was grief without the solitude that allows for reconciliation with someone such as, let's say, God. None of that happened when I was whisked away by the evil witch and another handful of white-clad orderlies. Lori walked to the front, and I caressed her ass with my beady stare. I just caught a glimpse of Janine's mother as she paced, worried, across from the larger lady. It was peculiar because Jean's mother almost knew I was someone that shouldn't interact with her one and only. I just wished to be there for her is all, and I felt no apologies were needed from me. Miss Jean's mom, I just wanted to say hi, that's all. I promise you she'll be back. I promise you she'll be fine. With that said, the real world took better note of my condition. Not only was I a cracked nut, but prophetic healing I added to my lengthy dossier of illusionary delusions and stress-prone fainting spells and seizures. They were sure to give me some excellent psychoreactive hallucinogens, and it was about time. As we entered through the double doors, I saw the imprinted picture in my mind's eye of the seconds-long dreams. The second dream didn't horrify like the first, and I knew that I had counted the horsemen correctly. Well, 9 of them, I thought. The relevance in numbers didn't matter. It was the location and time at the time. I stopped dwelling before it started down the path I wished not to go. Not yet, anyways. I sat on a padded seat near Ian Scott, laying my legs up on the rear of the other's backrest. Got you this time, huh? He asked, crossing his fatty arms. Yep. Trying to get some ass? Yep. Raping an invalid? Nope. Candy striper Janine, jackass. You can do that? She wants to? Ian asked, livening up. Nope. Dude, they're going to recommend long-term here, man. Maybe even the mountains. You might break Yancey's record. Shit. Yep. Maybe they'll give you some shit now, man, Ian Scott replied. Yep. I don't know, but all I need is something to rev up the dreaming, you know? Something to get her back is what I want to do. But a silent reporting pause kept from explaining the inconceivable to Ian. Shit. But what can you do? Ian Scott's shirt still wasn't washed for a few days. Dried mustard grit flaked onto his light blue corduroys. He moved with unease. I glanced at his chest and denied direct contact with his unsuspecting eyes. The questions were ineffectual and super sly, put out like a chum line at a sardine factory. Nope. No way. My shit's accounted for. It's only experimental, man. You'll fry what you have left in that pea-brain-sized head of yours. Nope. Nope. No way. The lumpy boy unequivocally quelled as he shied away. He exited our conversation and went to our room. Miss Rodriguez loosely hung out at the counter, flipping and twisting at her illustrious hair. Coveting her ballooning ass, I observed her run those talons on the inside of her tight waistband. As she twisted, her bosoms flattened and rolled out under her armpits. I began to listen as she vainly tucked her shirt in. In the background, other children moaned. Can you do? The child shouldn't be here. He needs his head examined. Literally. What can you do, you know? She stated, twirling. Her evil stare began to turn my way, and I ceased my peeping. Yeah, really he should. The nurse on the floor said he was practically sleeping with her on the bed. Adios mios. Yeah. I couldn't make out what the pretty doctor was saying, but I assumed it wasn't good. I waited for the nurse to approach them. I began to wonder about the M trio and Mom and Dad. Surely they needed to be warned, or at least informed, about some changes that needed to be inserted in the regimen of psychological recovery. Being on a short tether, walking on the moon was the feeling I was experiencing with the two. And still no Dr. Chancellorly. I dismissed the negative impulses and approached the two. Another candy gal dimmed the lights in the lobby as I faced the doctor sitting behind the desk. He was swiveling on his pneumatic office chair, moving as a sign of tension release. He squinted and faked a smile up at me. Robert, I'm glad you came up here. I was just reviewing the new prognosis for you with Mrs. Rodriguez. Good, because I was just thinking of what was needed too, and your cologne isn't cutting it, I stated, upset. Mr. Steedier paused and shook his head, astonished. He rebuked in a shaking defense. Oh, yeah? Well, it seems we have sat down and came to the conclusion that a more in-depth schematics needed for your rehabilitation of the thought processes you seem to be portraying. You need to start thinking better. It's about time. I thought you were on vacation or something like that, I stated, smiling. I had this feeling this was a resort. Well, like I was trying to say before I was rudely interrupted, Dr. Chancellorly had agreed that a stringent diet of Thorazine and daytime meds was a proper course at this time so that we can legitimately gauge your progress and interview you without discernible indifference on the ward. Ward? There isn't any discourse here. You see any discourse here, Miss Rodriguez? I don't see any. Now that's what we seem to be talking about, young Robert. That right there. Your abreactions to what you believe is perhaps wrong is that attitude of yours. Yes, we need to work on that more in a more stable environment. Walking away, ignoring the bastard, I replaced myself in the padded love seat. They were prescribing the drugs and possible sleepy time sedatives that I was wishing for. I came to the conclusion that a good many little pills I would have to ingest to dream on demand. My location in the last word wasn't an issue if I could only properly induce REM sleep without interference and worry about returning. Our little experiment needed some precise tweaking to safely enter another's dimension. Ian Scott returned from our room and sat beside me with a chain shirt. He wore a skin-tight t-shirt that was very bright, stainless, and white for once. I was purposely quiet when I observed Ian shake his head. Did they tell you about your mom? She came and signed the papers. No, when? They didn't tell me crap, but what all the doctors were recommending. How? I asked, as I began to heat up. Angrily, I approached the cart of trays that had our dinner plates placed. Salisbury shit steaks again, leftovers. Yeah, it came in about half hour ago, Ian said. She was upset, but didn't seem that upset. You know what I mean? Your dad a detective? What they say to her? They know I can't take some drugs or my head will pop. She really pissed? Detective? No, just said okay, signed some papers and walked out, just moments before you came back. She shook her head. The detective was with her. Your dad? I think your mom just doesn't know what's best for you. Do you? Ian asked, correcting. Yes, well, no. Like I said, when you were jerking off this morning, you wouldn't understand. I need to dream with someone to help them. And detective? Yes, detective, dreaming. You're a dope, Ian said, picking up the platter. I took another whiff of the oily sustenance and began the debasing of fluid. I can't explain it to you and have everyone really know I'm out there. All I need is a relaxing night and some sleep. Now you're against me too. I need to save Jean. Which detective? Was he an older guy? I didn't say that, but if you can dream with others, why don't you do that at a bank or in a vault or something? Make money on the deal and I'll believe you. Older guy, nice face. It doesn't work like that. It's like you just need to help or show you want to help, and the other person gets empowered to break out of wherever they are. Detective Plador? What would he be here for? I asked of the novice. We sat and began eating. I was anticipating what volley of pills we were going to experiment with after chow. A nurse rolled out another cart and set it off to the side of the entrance. Get the fuck out of here. You said that before. You mean that you can actually help me with my problem if you see me when I'm sleeping? He was helping your mom, I think. Nice guy. Smells like aftershave. Yep, I want to love Janine so bad I can taste her. Her first. If you show up, then I'll do what needs to be done. I mean, I don't know what kind of sick-ass world you can make up when you go out like a light at night. Only you can see if you want help or not. Just like that. Good guy, that detective. Has some pull around these parts, I told Ian boldly. Well, the good news is that my affliction stopped today. I guess that's some good news for us. Were you court-ordered by the guy? Man, don't say that. Good. I'd hate to see you on some dark playground on a bad day, you big palooka. No, solved a murder with the guy, I stated. Ian Scott mumbled as he began to devour his greasy meal and potatoes. You did not. No way. Get the fuck out of here. Tomato juice was in abundance that evening, and I drank 2 or 3 glasses of the crap. The sloppy robots were eventually led to the cart at the door, and both Ian and I sat stuffed, watching for Nurse Rodriguez to give orders. Ian Scott went first and eagerly tipped his cuplet up. He chased the caplets with a shot of water and again burped in shunted fashion. It was my turn, the last of the sloths, to ingest the regiment. And I did, staring the woman down. This Thorazine helped me sleep better at night, Rodriguez? I asked, not expecting an honest remark. Yes, my young friend, it will stabilize you throughout the night. It may work right tonight or take a little while. When will I be off this stuff? I wouldn't want to be used or anything, I succinctly stated. I might be better after a week or even shorter, you know. Oh, no, young child. You should speak with your assigned physician about that. I just dispense what's right for you. Then we'll see how much better you feel tomorrow, she said with a polemic grin. Her ears began to sharply turn northward again, shading in a hazy pink light. My heart began to lower to a hollow beat as I absorbed those calculated words. My hands, clammy, perspired just above my fuzzy knuckles. Calling the tramp's hand, knowing the alternative, the hatch was opened. The count was 6 pills that I swished in my mouth. She even yawned when I was waiting for the lucid water. I choked and momentarily disgorged one of the sulfur-laden caplets as she was annoyingly slow to react. She finally passed the water. With the will to jump off the cliff, I leaped headfirst and tilted. "Rrrr," I let out when I finished the last of the dosage. Miss Rodriguez grinned in disgust, appalled, and quickly rolled the cart through the entrance. Her job was completed and well done. She was earning her pay in the lunatic brothel, and it was better to shun her from me than have her too close for comfort. I awaited the effects with strange anticipation to come, whispering, You got the little red one? Get the fuck. You said it would work. Don't slobber, you big dummy. It ain't easy faking indigestion. I think I got the right one. Hold on. Hurry, dopey. I ain't going to the mountains. You might want to, but I ain't. Ingestion, dummy. Hurt. I got it. Here you go. Some of the food coloring came off. Hurry, Teal. Someone might be coming. Good. Chlorpraz. Whatever. Here's to you. Bottoms up. The extra pill was downed, and the countdown ignited. The next chapter is chapter 8, Swords, and I believe with the 10 chapters, there's a few more chapters that occur where Teal goes through a whole ordeal of saving his love, the love that he wants to be in his life in the future. And though he doesn't understand all of life, he knows survival is paramount, and he's willing to save her, the love of his life he just met, within her dreams, and while she's comatose after the car accident. So hope you enjoyed this. I'll start at chapter 8, Swords, possibly tomorrow. Chapter 7 was a little shorter than usual, but a lot of the lead up to the meat of the story for Below the Precipice was, I want to say, what transpired to make him able to communicate with ghosts, not only in the dream world when he's sleeping, but also hear them, see them, and they have a connection with him in a direct line to him where they can harass him, but they know also he's too valuable to ever kill, and he doesn't know that. However, he's trying to deal with it the best he can because he doesn't want to be harassed forever, and he feels, in essence, cornered like a caged animal within his mind, and the people around him are not helping him. So that's part of the premise of Below the Precipice. And I might read to the very end. I might jump around to different chapters. That just happened to be a smaller chapter, chapter 7, Loathsome, and I labeled it Loathsome back then because I wanted to give a detailed description without going off the rails and piling on too much of dreams we have that are nightmares, and we actually see something happening. You know, faceless people, kind of horrific dreams. The faceless people, something negative happens to them, like a fire in a building, let's say. I've had similar dreams as a police officer, and I want to say that shooting dreams occurred all the time where people might have been shot. You might hear a gun go off and someone drops, or they just don't move, and then all of a sudden they're immobile. And the assumption is they were shot because they're no longer there. They're like mannequins, standing up vessels of humanity, and you go to them, and your guilt and your assumption is that they were shot. So you want to bring them back, but you don't know how because you can't move in your dream, stuff like that. And so I touch base with that in Below the Precipice, and how he finds out that he's powerful in the dreams and he can empower himself. And when someone gives you, for instance, psychologically speaking, when someone gives you a compliment, when someone greets you in passing and they give you a smile, and that kind of positive interaction inspires you, that can make the whole difference in someone's life. Okay, I don't want to say it's because the aura is connecting and somewhat of I want to say a spiritual exchange occurs where someone is inspired by that. And that was the feel I wanted to give with Teal in those same dreamscapes, and actually trying to help people. I want to say in other realms where that person is catatonic in a coma. They cannot function. They may be locked in some kind of cage within a dreamscape, a dream world, okay, a different dimension again. And he can inspire them and help them. There might be demons there, and if he slaughters the demons, then he frees them. He didn't have to do much to save Antsy Pantsy Nancy, okay, like chapter 6 portrayed in part of it. And she just broke out of it because she hit her head in a skating accident 2 years before. And that whole dynamic with her family, feeling like they messed up, they were guilty, and so they want her taken care of the best possible. They just keep her in the psych ward for her lifetime. Well, she's healed now, and she's a young girl, so they're planning on she hooking up with her parents, who are, we always think of the older generation, our parents when we're younger, well, they don't understand us. And, they're just fuck-ups too, because they messed up here this one time. They didn't buy us a shirt we wanted. They didn't buy us a present we asked for Christmas, and so on. And so there is some of that dissension between the children I show with Teal, because he has been victim throughout the novel of a dysfunctional family. Okay, so that, I don't want to say makes him defensive. He's a big punching bag with that same family. But his sisters, for the most part, try to do best by him while he's still young. And I wanted to show that. However, the parental arguments and so forth, and the eventual splitting of the family leaves trauma with him, and he sees arguments and what have you. And so he has some perspective of the older parents and generation being fuck-ups. Well, Auntie Pansy Nancy's parents are no different, and they also feel guilty for her accident. It's a hard thing to take down when, an accident occurs to your child and they're no longer the same, and they're not there. They're there, but they're not there on the same level of communicating normally and doing kid stuff that is otherwise normal. So I love chapter 6 very much, but Loathsome, I remember I wrote, I wanted to give a feel of crime scenes. I wanted to give a feel of actual burned victims during investigations. And, you can throw words at something until you experience it, and you keep it simple, stupid with those horrific scenes. You really don't know. You really don't know. With some of these authors, I don't mean any disparaging remarks against many other authors like the James Patterson of the world, but I don't like his writing because he does 3-page chapters, and yeah, he rolls along. I don't know how he remembers the chapters, and it's kind of redundant, it's kind of slow, it's kind of fast at times. It's like he can't break it down, or he's OCD and has to keep on doing chapters. Weird, but okay. And I've read his stuff and his conclusions, for instance, with some of his novels, like Mary, Mary. I'm like, that was horrible. I heard so many good things about Mary, Mary, and the writing was not bad, don't get me wrong, but the conclusion and his content, he's totally devoid. He's totally, I don't know what he has done to research police work and real crime. Okay, more power to him if he has, but him translating it on paper is not like a real cop. A real cop has seen it, and they can go there, and they know the tentacles of a crime and where it goes in different directions. Okay, what goes to who to investigate, which part of it. Okay, the family involved, the dynamic of pain and loss involved with that family and friends, and the whole community reeling because of the loss of someone that they loved and cared about. Okay, he had some good, I want to say, interpersonal interchange between some characters, but horrific about connecting the dots and making it gel better and making it more interesting. And the ending to Mary Mary was like, that's it? That's it? And so I'm like, give me a contract, okay? $1 million, I can give you 3 bestsellers within a year. But I want that $1 million up front. And they would be made for movie novels, okay? Made for movies, made for series. Hell yeah. And I could already think of a couple plans on a storyboard where it's very dynamic, and every season would be a different element of a crime or the suspense and who really done it. And I could really make it interesting in a 3-year series. I had the experience, and I know these dynamics better than a James Patterson, and it's upsetting that I can't get in and take somebody's time and say, time is money for the elitists. Okay, and that's how they act, because they don't want to listen to you. They've heard it a million times. They've heard it a million times, but they haven't heard it from me. Okay, a million times. They haven't heard my perspective that blows away what they got out there now. Stephen King, yeah, he probably does his research and stuff. Psychologically speaking, he's been kind of creepy. He was creepy at the time because he was the only kind of creepy there was. Okay? He wasn't that special in the creepy field. When you look at real life and how actual things are, he would do these dreamscape kind of, shaman type centerpieces where the main characters have to figure out what's going on before they get killed off and they just disappear like the Langoliers or what have you. And the only thing that really appeared, I want to say scary, was Salem's Lot, the series, the 1970s series. Okay? The Shining movie, it's like, for horror, what have you done since then? It was boring. It was horrible. The Stand, that was horrible. And he always has these shaman women or shawoman that are oracles in their own right, and the main characters have to find them and get the bearings straight so they can find what the solution is, And it's like The Mist, another stupid ass, movie and book. Okay, interesting concept, but at the end, not much happens. And it's like, there's not much intrigue there. It's always someone, I want to say, in a jail cell, in a jail cell, waiting for the devil, or they're in, what was it? They were in, I think, the sheriff's office, and everybody in the community are discussing this one person that arrived in town, and they're always all grouped together and showing the dynamics between them and how some of the people in the population are really corrupt when they appear like to everybody else upstanding citizens. Okay, and the devil came to town, and the devil is exposing all of them while they're fighting each other, while they're trying to figure it out, while there's one leader there, while there might be a shaman, people all kind of pushed to the side, but then when they go to that person, there's all kinds of insight and wisdom and the clues and the key to overcoming this. Okay, same characters over and over and over again. Come on, where's the horror in that? Where is the horror? The Mist. Everybody's in a freaking grocery store. You go outside, you get killed by a bunch of fucking alien, unknown monsters. It's like, okay, can you put some creepiness in there, please? Like everyday creepiness, like ghosts. That's why I love ghost stories. And my content is unmatched because I have inspiration that is unmatched. And no one walked in my shoes for 9 straight years of freaking horror. And then another 4 years of horror being homeless. Okay? Let alone with a lot of tragedies that have occurred, especially 9 years, 10 years now of losing clients because of the COVID debacle and bad drugs developed to profiteer off of experimental use with the intellectually disabled community that no one has written about yet, that I wrote about in Trill of the Red Robin. And no one has defended the intellectually and developmentally disabled, also known as the IDD community. No one. And can't get my foot in there either that way, because no one wants to bash on Big Pharma and those same elitist paymasters. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, hey, Simone, how are you doing? So I'm thinking to myself, all right, how does it get in eventually? Do I go to a production company and I show them my book, say, I will do a screenplay. This right here is for sale. I own the ISBN to it. Okay. Been through this before. I own the ISBN to it. Fund me right now, and you'll have a screenplay within 3 months. Is that how I do it? They're probably just as snooty there over in Hollywood, and these production companies that want big bank up front, and they know that big bank up front is going to be coming. It's like, okay. Well, read Below the Precipice and then come back and speak to me. They're already out there. They're already proof. Why should I do another vanity book that is not going to get me any money? And I'm not that vain. So anyways, that was the reading of Chapter 7, Loathsome. Chapter 8 is going to be Swords, and I think I'll do that tomorrow. If I'm not running around finding a second job that's closer to my house because of travel concerns, hours away, each way, going to my job, my current job. I'm going to try to do Chapter 8 tomorrow around noontime, and I hope people can follow me. I'm going to take this video and upload it to YouTube, and I hope people enjoy. It's a $15 book of entertainment. This should be a $25 book in circa 2007. Again, the fonts were screwed up by Author House. It's a great read regardless, and I hope anybody out there can enjoy it. Pass my name along. Jonathan Allen was my pen name back then, but this is P. Francis McNichol signing off, and have a great week to come. Thank you.